So Texas House District 22, you're about to take the oath of office.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
It's still a little surreal. I started 18 years ago, and when I was 18 years old, and 18 years later, I never thought this was going to be my life at 18 years old. I just thought I had a really cool job at the Capitol that I would maybe have for a year or two, and then I would, I don't know, do something different. And it's a little surreal, but it's also really exciting.
And this is the culmination. I was looking. You announced your candidacy more than a year ago.
Yeah.
It's been a long year, I would guess.
It has been the longest year of my life, but it's been the most rewarding. So I'm very happy about it.
At 18, you started working in state government?
October the 1st, 2004, I was going to college before I returned to Lamar at Houston-Tillotson. And I had applied, and Rep. Desotel's chief and the rep said, yeah, he can come work. And I made $650 a month, and I thought that was the best thing ever because it was salary. So if I got sick, I got paid.
So you started before, or like kind of in your early college days?
Yes, I was a freshman in college, and I started 3 months before the legislative session started.
How cool. We'll talk more about your past in just a little bit, but I feel like we have to talk about the present, and that's this oath of office that's coming. Yes. Some might ask, do you have any idea what you're getting yourself into?
The cool thing is I do. The cool thing is I do because I've been working for District 22 in Jefferson County since I was 18. So I've seen the oath, I've, run things to the floor, I've worked behind the scenes, I've worked with members, worked with staff. So
yes, you do. You do know.
Yeah, I know where to park.
Your ex-boss, our former state rep, Joe Desotel, called you a proven organizer, a leader, a legislative strategist. He was a backer of you in a big way, and I have to ask, what kind of a difference you feel like that made in your campaign?
It made people trust me because they trusted him, and they knew that if he was saying that, then that means I had done the work. And I could have never done the work if he hadn't have given me these opportunities to be able to be all of those things. He really allowed me to be able to ask permission and take the lead on things within the building, as far as in moving legislation from one part of the House to the other, or getting offices together. And I mean, that's just, it doesn't happen a lot, but it was also very important for him that no matter what happened, whether I never ran for office or I trained someone else's office, which I had done, that he didn't have to be in the room. He could say, Christian can go handle it. And that's just, that was very important to him. And I mean, the reason that, I've been in the building as long as I have been.
Did you spend most of your time in Austin or in the district here when you worked for him?
So most of the 18 months was always here in the district. 6 months, unless we have special sessions, are always in Austin. But other than that, it's always here. It's always being support staff is what I was.
What do you think will be your legislative priorities? What are you going to Austin with a mindset of, gosh, I hope I can tackle this? So
there's a few issues. One of them for me is going to be domestic violence, because that touches everyone, especially in the age of where we're talking about Me Too and development of children. We often forget that, yes, we have men and women who are both victims of domestic violence, but children are seeing those things. And that also ties into education is a huge thing for me. I have a nephew and a godson who are both autistic, and I'm dyslexic, and I had to learn to navigate life and pretend I could read things that I couldn't and survive in different ways, and making sure that children feel comfortable at home and at school, and then also are getting that extra help that they need if they need it. Because the one thing I guess I've always disliked about politics is we always talk about education when we're running for office, but no one ever specifies what about education.
Right, teacher funding, what is your...
Schools are always going to get funded. Teachers are going to get paid even if it's not enough, but those things are going to happen, but we never talk about the specific details, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I did in the races. And those are some of my priorities: school safety, making sure that these children don't fall through the cracks, making sure that families have an option to stay together because they see the signs of domestic violence and people can help. And also for those where there are signs, we can make sure that we're doing things within the law to protect those people who are the most vulnerable. Because my biggest stance on it is, if you help the person at the bottom of the totem pole, then it helps everyone else going up, because it makes everybody feel more comfortable, and it helps everybody to continue to have the American dream of upward mobility.
You know, it's no secret you're heading to Austin with a lot of Republicans. On any of those particular issues that you've just mentioned, do you think that there could be common ground? I mean, are these issues you think you can work across the aisle on?
I wouldn't say I think, I know, because for me, the best thing about Texans are we don't have that DC politics stuff. Domestic violence touches everyone, education touches everyone, school safety touches everyone, waterways touches everyone. And that's something that, as my time being in the legislature, it has been so easy to get those kinds of that kind of legislation passed, because everyone needs those things. Everyone wants safety. Everyone wants our police to feel protected. Everyone wants the community to feel a part of their policing. And those are things that we can work on. But when we say things that are incendiary, then that's where people fall off the rails, and then we have divided politics.
Yeah. Do you have an existing relationship with House Speaker Phelan?
Yes, yes. The Speaker is, I mean, I've been under a few speakers in my time, but he's the best speaker, because what I appreciate so much about him is he always gives people the right to speak their mind. He always listens, and he always is honest with people. He supports his side. He supports the House at the same time, and that's an extremely hard job, and he has done that, I mean, just so greatly, while also still listening to people, and that's a huge thing.
We can count on both of you to put Southeast Texas first?
Absolutely. Politics are over for me. I know that they're over for the Speaker. We're here to make sure that we're keeping Jefferson County alive and keeping our neighboring counties alive. Democrat and Republicans, that's television stuff, and state reps very rarely get on television at all, except for their local news. So, yes, absolutely.
Maybe we should change that. I want to talk about your period, like you said, was it the full 18 years that you've been involved with working in some way with Joe Desautels, or did you take time off for college? Or?
No, I went to school. I was working for him. I have been finishing it up. I have about 6 more hours. So I've just been doing that. So I'll be finished before the summer is over with.
Incredible.
Yeah, so I just always worked while I was in school and did everything else. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was always a fun process going to government classes and being like, actually, no, that wasn't in the bill. That was in the amendment.
I want to talk about your time working with him, first as a caseworker, an assistant clerk, district director, and then you became chief of staff, yes. Right? For a lot of people, that's, a lot of years already being part of the process, in some people's minds, maybe part of the bureaucracy. Talk to me about how you're going to innovate and be a different type of freshman state rep.
So for me, I think the one way that it makes me different is I'm walking in fully understanding the entire process, and I already have friends that are legislators, and that's outside of even the Speaker. I have senators that were House members that I've worked with their staff, and so one of the things that I've tried to do during the campaign and that I want to do as a state rep now is make sure that I'm informing everyone in the district that I can possibly get a hold of and say, this is what my job actually is. You can do it too one day, because we're not going to be here forever. And I think the most important thing also is, if we inform our constituents on what we're supposed to be doing, then we never have to worry about if they know if we're doing our job, because they know that we're doing our job. And it also leaves the door open for the future generations to say, you know what, I can do that. I want to do that. I want to run for that seat. Because you should never be afraid of people running against you. You should just be afraid of not doing what you were elected to do. And that's what I want to do. I want people to leave with my 18 years of experience and say, I know what Christian's supposed to be doing, because that makes me and my staff know, well, they know what you're supposed to be doing. and that's important to me. Just like a teacher, we know what our teachers are doing. Well, we should know what our politicians are doing, and I think that's just vitally important for every level of government, from city government all the way up to the presidency, because they all are so vitally important and they're there for a reason, and we never, people very hardly explain what their actual positions are.
I want to jump way back,
Okay.
and I'm not sure if whether you were 17, 18, 19 at the time, but in an editorial, the Examiner references you getting involved at the very local level, I guess we would say, because of a really obnoxious train whistle. Fill us in on that story.
So that was when I think I was in either middle school or it was high school, but on the west side of Port Arthur at like 2, 3 in the morning with the windows closed, they would just blow this train horn at ungodly hours. And so it was like, what is this noise? And you could hear it all night. So I remember, if I remember correctly, I wrote a letter to the Port Arthur News, and at the time Congressman Lamson was there, and I talked with him and Senator Parker, and I told him, I said, this is outrageous, because I was just from a very political family, and I thought it was very natural to just talk to your politicians, and that's...
And track them down.
And track
as
them
a
down.
15, 16, 17-year-old?
Right, because it was important, because it showed, for me, is like, we all wake up the same, we go to sleep the same. They're normal people. We're all normal people. And so talking to them and getting them to fix those kinds of situations, it was natural and important to me. And so I guess I never saw it as doing anything that anyone else wasn't doing, but apparently no one else was. I mean, there were people in the community doing it, but I guess not that young.
So they stopped the train whistle?
Yeah.
Or cut it back?
They cut it back. It's not as late. I think I went to see my mom, because she lives on that side of town, a few weeks ago, and I was like, I never see that train. It was there, but it wasn't blowing at 2. I think it was like at 9 or 10 o'clock, a decent hour where people are not asleep. And it was not where it just stopped and blew all night, which is so great. I mean, we've had that happen even in Beaumont by Ebenezer Baptist Church. Rep. Desotel worked on getting that fixed. And it's just sometimes the companies don't realize how loud it is, or maybe they think it's not that loud to them, but we have to say something. And so I just, did my civic duty.
He said, I just want to make sure that Southeast Texas is getting the exact same representation that we've been getting for the past 23 years. How can you make this such a seamless transition?
Well, for me, the most important thing is understanding that a lot of the work that we did, people think it's a head-on. You file your bill, you go to committee, and it goes to the floor, you take a vote, and then you move on. And there's so much more to the process than that. You can move bills in such different ways by putting them on other people's legislation in committee, or you can have someone file it in the Senate. And there's a lot of moving parts that happen. And so for me, I've always said I will never guarantee that I will pass everything, because that's impossible and no one passes everything. But the one thing for me is the chances of me being able to pass things are much higher, because I've been there since they've made rules changes. As I've told people, I've sat through Speaker Craddock. I was there when Speaker Craddock was trying to be ousted from Speaker. I was there under Speaker Strauss. I was there when they had rules changes under him. I was there for Speaker Dennis Bonnen, and now for Speaker Dade Phelan. There's a lot of institutional knowledge that I bring that I can tell people, no, actually we did that in 2009. Just for instance, a lot of people right now that we have like $30 billion. Well, a lot of people don't realize that the reason we're having to spend a lot of that money is because the rainy day fund can only hold up to $14 billion. So we have to spend a certain amount of it. And for our credit rating to stay good, we still have to spend a good bit and save a bit, but we don't want to save too much. And that's important to realize, is how are we going to spend enough money, but not waste the money, but still keep our credit rating good. And those kind of things are what institutional knowledge brings, that makes the process so seamless. Is that I can look at this and say, how much money is this going to cost? How can we afford it? And how can we utilize that money for Southeast Texas now, since we know there's a huge possibility, at least in my lifetime, that we will never see this kind of money again. So it's important to have a strategy. It's important to know what our district needs, and it's important of working with the other elected officials in the district to say, let's move this. And that's really where the competitiveness comes in for this seat. We have the Speaker of the House and a freshman who has almost 20 years of service, that has relationships, that has trained people's staff, people who are now in Congress, people who are in the Senate, people who are in the House. It really gives us that edge to say, okay, we have to work, but we know how to work. And it's like a first-year teacher, you know they're going to teach the kids their ABCs. But you don't know how much further they're going to go. But a teacher who's been there, a veteran teacher, is going to teach them that and teach them a little bit more to go into second grade, because they know how easy it is for them to get caught up. And that's just really where it comes in for me.
This is the first session post-Uvalde. You know, there was a lot of pressure to call a special session. That didn't happen, right, as I recall. So here we go, kicking things off in January here. What's your biggest takeaway after Uvalde that you will be pushing for?
So for me, I've always had one rule, and that is to defer to the experts. And regardless, I know some people wanted a special session, some people didn't. It was political, it wasn't political. But for me, the most important thing is, what are we going to do to make sure that what happened to those 19 children never happens again? And for me, that's why I've worked with law enforcement. I've even, and that's in credit to Speaker Phelan, by having that committee, working with a Sheriff Yarborough out of Hutto, who is in the Uvalde report, and asking him what are the important things. One thing, just for an example that's very important, is in Port Arthur, which is what would have helped Uvalde, at Sam Houston Elementary and a lot of the different elementary schools, you can't go in to the school like you used to when I was in school. You have to go in the front door. There are key fobs so that they know when you came in and when you came out, and if a door is left unlocked. Well, we need to be making sure that that is going statewide. And that's something that I would like to do, is making sure that these children are being protected, our teachers are being protected, and our families are sending their children to school safely and knowing that they're going to come home. This is even less of a political situation for me. I want to do and support whatever it is that the experts are saying are going to make sure that my mother's a teacher, my sister's a teacher, my cousin is a teacher, my aunt who passed was a teacher and the first principal at Wheatley. This is my family who are teaching these children. This is my niece and nephew, my godson, my goddaughters. I want to see them grow up. Everyone else wants to see their children and their family grow up. And we have the money, which is great, and we need to do everything possible. And I think we will.
You mentioned the rainy day fund, and if I understood correctly, roughly $15 billion or so that's got to be offloaded from it?
So there's it's $14 billion, and they say about having $7 billion, but then we also have so much money from inflation. So really what is giving Texas this boost right now is purely inflation. So it's killing us at the grocery store, but it's helping us when it comes to taxes, because those extra tax dollars are going to the general revenue fund. And so now we have all of this extra revenue, then we have this money that we have to legally spend. And so and we also forget, we still have infrastructure dollars that are coming from the federal government that we're waiting on instructions on how we can use those, who's going to get what and where. So there's a lot of money that is coming into Texas, a lot of money that's here in Texas. And the rainy day fund is just going to be a huge part of that.
We here at Channel 12 report a lot about what we've called Power City, and that is collectively the industrial infrastructure here in Southeast Texas, the industry that makes this place, as the old Port Arthur slogan used to say, oil the world, right? So I would ask you, perhaps working with Speaker Phelan and others across the aisle, is there anything you think that we need in terms of support for additional funding for deepening the Sabine Neches, for the Ike Dike? What industrial LNG expansion, what jumps out at you is in terms of ways that the state may get involved in growing the industrial infrastructure in our region?
So one of the things that I love about our area that a lot of people don't know is we have the top 2 ports. Our ports are the top 5 in the country, and we can move things that they can't move in Houston. And so deepening and widening is not just important, it is vital to not just our sustainability, but our growth. Because if we can grow our ports, or should I say when we grow our ports, that's gonna be vital. When it comes to our industry, we're always in a very tricky situation because we have people who would like them to be here less. But I always have a slogan is, if we have clean water and clean air and we don't have jobs, that means we don't have any place to live or eat. So we have to make sure that we're looking at global warming from a point of where we are now, not from 1960, and use the plan going forward. It's already hot, it's getting hotter, we're having freezes, we know that. But let's look at how we can make things better from here going forward. Let's make sure that we're giving those plants whatever they need for a tax incentive to be able to go greener, but still allowing our citizens to be able to have jobs, take care of their family, have clean air and water. And we can do those things, but we have to stop making it political. And the best thing is right now, 313 agreements, they're expired. So we're now going into the legislature having to create something new. And they can call it the Pollyanna plan, I don't know. But the one thing is we're going to have to change something. And I think that is so important because it's going to be able to help us negotiate so that we're not allowing industry to have too much power, but we're also not going to deplete the workforce that we have here, because until we have a stronger workforce, we still have a very limited workforce, and we have to be doing things to build that.
Yeah, not as economically diverse as,
Exactly.
as many would push for. I want to come back to you, and I'll wrap things up because we could talk forever. I want you to describe yourself. So finish the sentence. Christian Manuel Hayes is.
This is gonna sound very different, but I'm I love writing, I love literature, so I'm gonna say a short little poem I wrote. Christian Manuel Hayes, or our Christian Manuel is, I am the ancestor that my ancestors spoke of to the future. And for me, that's important because it reminds me that my life is no longer mine. It is now for me to make sure that other people's lives are better who come after me and who are here now. And that's the reminder that I tell myself every day, is that there are people who have laid the groundwork for me to be here. My boss, my family. There are so many people who have done things, and if I forget their struggle and what they have done for me, then I am forgetting that there are people who need me to do the exact same. And that's something that I literally tell myself every day.
Well, congratulations. And we will be watching. Keep in touch and let us know how things go.
Yes, thank you so much.